Alright everyone, I think it's time for a video that I didn't necessarily want to make. I have just finished catching up on Coronation Street, having seen the Christmas episode, and once again, we need to recognise that Coronation Street is not in a good place. Now, look, I do look haggard, but it's been on my mind all day. Gail Platt's exit felt like an exit of convenience rather than an exit of genuine, engaging storytelling, I'm sorry to say. All of it feels too convenient, like they just had so few cards they could play. It feels like the way that they did it is that Helen Worth went, I am retiring at the end of the year. So, we can kill you off. I'm not being killed off. I'm leaving. Okay. And also my schedule is delayed and I'm being slowed down a lot. Because it's such a weird one where fundamentally you look at Helen Worth and you look at her contributions to the show and you realize that she's far from the peak of Gail Platt. Some would say the peak of Gail Platt was, the mid-2000s, early 2000s, the Richard Hillman stuff, into the David kind of coming-of-rage storyline. That's probably the best of Gail Platt. Sorry if that's a bit, fucking Zoomified, but ultimately it is probably the peak of the character and where she was the most interesting. But even then, so, you still had more stuff over the last coming years. You still had Michael Rodwell, you still had Get Tina's dad. You still had her actually doing stuff. And that's the biggest problem with Gail Platt, is I think in a way they tried to have less of Gail. Ultimately because if you feel like there's less of it, it feels like when she actually leaves, you'll be missing out on more. But the issue with having less Gail is we don't really know what we're missing simply because she's kind of a known quantity at this point. And I've generally described a lot of characters being Gaelified. Yasmin has been Gaelified. Tim and Sally have been Gaelified. They are token characters who do a bit of comic relief and just kind of react to the more present, the more active, story-driven characters on the show. Gail has, in the last couple of years, just essentially went, "Oh, David, you stupid boy." Or, "Ah, Sarah, another criminal, another broken marriage. Look at you go." And that's all she's really done. We're not missing out on this Gail. This Gail is fucking useless. I'm glad she's still getting that paycheck, but motherfucker, you've made the intrigue for her so few. And just because it is a celebration of the character, that's the only reason why people are sad. They're sad because it's over, but they're not sad because they wanted to see more. Sorry to say, it might be a bit fucking contentious, but at the end of the day, she has been criminally underutilized. I think the last big thing she did was the speech after Aidan killed himself. That was the last good thing that Gail really did on the show. And her exit was, it felt by the numbers, it felt insincere. As, you have all the Platts doing these video messages, and for a moment you think there's going to be a touching moment with Eileen where she says, you know what, I'm glad for you, hope you do well. It's is that funny, a nice touching moment? Nah, just kidding, lol, fuck you, Gail. Yes, funny moment nonetheless, but I don't even know. I thought that obviously the most interesting bit about her exit was the scene where Richard Hillman as Ghost appears, drenched from being in the canal, of course. He appears and says, "Is this really what you want? Is this really just a thing of convenience rather than genuine desire?" Excuse me. Convenience rather than genuine desire. And she goes, no, this is what I want. But it's still a confusing thing because they then make her marry Jesse anyways, even though she pretty much went, yeah, I am just settling with him because of convenience. I don't know. It's not how you really want to phrase this sort of thing. Yes, I'm settling for him no, he definitely does set my heart alight. I really love Jesse. He's really cool. And, like, it is sad that the actress has decided to retire, but it's not in the same way. She's been here 50 years. You're not going to get the same stuff you did 50 years ago. Look at Ken, for example. But you have to want them to stay in order to care if they leave. And I just simply don't really think anybody really cares that she's leaving. Yes, it's like that Nan, you know, everybody loves Gail, all the funny moments. But the substance just hasn't been there, and it hasn't been there for a long time. And likewise with this Christmas, like, episode. Yeah, sure, it's the exit of Gail, but, like I said, it's just, and Audrey is going to be upset because she is going to miss you, Gail. Yes, Gail, I miss you. And they are touching scenes, and there were touching scenes, you know. David calling her mum, finally. A great speech at the wedding. But I don't know. And it's not even like it subverted expectations, so it's different. I wanted Gail to leave by herself, realizing that Jesse isn't really right for her, and decide that she is just unhappy with how everything is, and she's just going to leave anyways, and, like, go out in a blaze of glory. But in a sense, you wanted it to be the happy ending. Would it have been saved had it been Martin Platt? Probably. Let's be honest, probably. And I think that comes to such a detractor, is that Jesse was never a good substitute for the character that he was replacing. Like, he couldn't do anything. Like, no shade to the actor, he was thrust in a position he had no right being in. He was a joke character who was with Eileen. Great. It's like being Les Battersby, for fuck's sake. And I know people are, like, kind of annoyed at how Les was killed off, but, like, he's not coming back, is he? Come on. And like that, and the Battersby stuff as well. It's like, okay, this is boring in a sense, and like, oh, but we know that Leanne knows, but I know that Leanne knows, so does Leanne know that we know that she knows that I know that we know? It's like, fucking hell, guys. Please, for fuck's sake. Like, if Elio is supposed to be a celebration of life, but it just, I don't know, I'm really not convinced. Like, I now know that this is the era where it is Kate Brooks' direction. But ultimately, a lot of what they've said isn't really what you want to hear. I recognize that they're trying to distance themselves from what they were doing previously, and that's fine. I respect that. I understand. I would distance myself from Ian McLeod's version of the show as well. But in your interviews, as I said in the video the other day, you're doing these I want to subvert expectations, here's more social issue storylines, I want everything to be chaotic and crazy, and I want everything to be chaotic and crazy, and it's like, but we just want something good. Can we just have something? I did the same video last year as well. Last year I was a lot more jaded on Coronation Street than I am right now. I'm not particularly jaded, I just don't think it was a particularly good set of Christmas episodes. And this is even with it being like, even with me being able to go through it like a couple days after, probably perhaps a little bit tired. But fundamentally, it's just a very questionable stance. Like, EastEnders to me has cemented itself firmly in the main, like, my main soap for now. I love Hollyoaks, kind of fallen to the wayside. Love Coronation Street, fallen to the wayside. EastEnders Christmas, fantastic, great setup. Still some detractors as well. I think Chris Clenshaw's era of the show is starting to show its age, but I'll give it a chance because simply saying there's 2 months left. I'm not exactly excited for the potential future of Coronation Street. I believe it'll survive, and it must survive as it is a huge piece of the puzzle. But their Christmases the last couple of years not been fucking great, have they? Maybe I'm just being negative, but I hated last Christmas. This Christmas was okay. And it's like, I don't know, I painted the idea of, with Helen Worth leaving in the way she did, I don't know whether it was the direction that said she wanted to not be killed off, or whether it was the, the just how they wrote it. But like, if she dies and then Gail suddenly dies off screen, or Helen Worth dies off screen, I know it's a depressing analogy, but if she does die off screen, what does that mean? Does it mean we just go, yeah, Gail's dead, guys? Then just do a funeral? Or is her leaving and retiring, is that her just saying, I'm fucking sick of this shit, guys, I will leave, I will fucking leave, I'm not signing another contract at the end of the year. And they go, alright, fine then, don't do it. And she went, okay. And they went, oh, whoa, what? You're actually leaving? I thought you were just joking to, get more money or something. I don't... yes, it brought the Platts back, but the Platts have had quite a limited year. And the way they were talking about the Platts, all these secrets are gonna come out, and it's gonna be a crazy Christmas for the Platts. It's like David pushed Adam down, or Adam fell down a bunch of stairs due to David. Shona and David's marriage is probably over. That's it. Yeah, but the Platts are in chaos. Will Gail marry Jesse? Yes, she will. Audrey's trying to foil it. They angled it to be like this Game of Thrones-esque. Secrets are gonna be revealed at the end, but will Gail get her happy ending? But this isn't a happy ending. She's leaving the family she's made home. She's leaving the place she's been for 50 years of her life. And she's leaving with a man that has about as much charisma as a stiff board left out in the fog. Don't even know if that makes any sense, but it's fucking 20 to 1 in the morning. Leave me alone. It's just not a good sign. It's not a good sign. What you're supposed to... Look, Christmas is simple. It's supposed to be the culmination of everything that's happened in the year. Obviously, not everything, because stuff crescendos at the right time and peaks and troughs, etc., etc. But a Christmas episode needs to have a lifeblood, and the lifeblood was Gail's exit. But, as said before, the Gail exit was by the numbers. There we are. Hey, Eileen, should you develop your relationship with Gail? Should you have a heart-to-heart? No. Jesse and Eileen, are you gonna, make up your differences? No. David actually likes Jesse now. Jesse is sound because he helped David. Great. So no one's really getting hurt. No one's really upset. And all that's happened is Shona and David's marriage is in the bin. Okay. Great. So, it paints me to wonder, is Helen Worth's retirement, is it a retirement out of I'm tired, I'm old, I'm aging, or is it a Ian Beale in 2020, 2021, I'm fucking fed up of this shit, I'm leaving, see ya bye, call me back in a few years once you've sorted your fucking shit out? Because, if you're a long-standing actor and you're not getting to actually act your scenes, and you're getting a couple scenes every month, is it actually worth it? And most actors get paid by episode, so you're not even getting paid that much. I'm sure the longer-running actors have more pay and shit, but regardless, it's just I don't know, and I don't want it to be bad. I don't want to be the negative guy, and I don't want to keep throwing the water off, just taking the oxygen out the fire. But it's not burning though. Yeah, sure, there's a slight bit of smoke, but there's no fire. It is just, we're staking the flames, and we are hoping that it finally does something, finally explodes, finally crackles, finally goes up in flames. And it's just not. And I just am bored of where we are going. Incredibly bored of this. And like, I think that, you know, let's even take an angle. Let's take an angle. They said there should be some shock exits. I think Shona's gone this year. I think Shona's done. I think this is Shona's last dance as such. I don't think they're going to do much more with the character. I think they believe that character Shona's kind of dead. And ultimately, I don't really think there's a place for Shona anymore. Like, I think the writers have overrated the character, and they've ultimately not really known how to have David be in a happy relationship since Kylie. And it's showing all of the glaring stuff. I don't want her to die, necessarily. I don't want her to die, but I could easily see the character being done in. I think there'll be a bit of a reshuffling. Obviously, Lisa Swain is going to be one of the main characters of the show. Carl is going to be up there as well. Betsy and Mason are the golden children of this new generation of teenage actors. I think Kit Green is going to be a big pillar of this show. Daisy and Daniel and Bethany are going to be 3 very important characters. I would probably like less focus of Chesney and Gemma and Bernie. I think they've had their time in the sun, but I ultimately think that they don't know how to write them anymore. And I think it's just the tired writing where it's like, Gemma and Chesney are down on their luck. It's like, they're always down on their luck. It's Gemma and Chesney, and they have quads, and they're dirt poor, and they cannot fucking manage. But I don't know how to. I don't know how to take it, especially because at the end of the day, you are simply. We're going into an uncertain time where they've said that there'll be some shockwaves, like Debbie's leaving. I assume Michael could probably be on the way out if they really want, but he's kind of a non-issue character. Daisy and Jenny, I believe, are safe. Like I said, I feel like there should be a shake-up with. I think Shona's gone. I think Dilly may probably be gone simply because he is surplus to requirements, and the actor's got some opinions, which he's not afraid of voicing. And I think it will be consolidating the clans as such, consolidating the family. So the Platts, the Barlows, the Connors, I guess Connors, but it's kind of the Ryan, Carla, Betsy, Lisa, Mason, Tim, Sally, Mason, Abby, Kevin, the Websters. It'd just be about consolidating the world. So the characters stuck in between, and I guess the Winter Browns, but even then, so I don't really think they're in a good position. But I did see an app point about this, and this is what I'll use to finish off. I know it's been a bit scatterbrained, but I just wanted to kind of get all my thoughts about why the Christmas didn't work and why I think it's in a weird place right now. But Kate Brooks is saying, we want to do this subverting expectations, chaotic storytelling. But she's also saying, I want it to be Coronation Street DNA at the core, whilst announcing a lot of long-running social issue storylines, which, aren't always the breadwinners, aren't always the storylines people enjoy. And it's like, yeah, but I want to have a constant shock and awe. I want it to be chaotic. I want it to be messy. I want people to have shocks. I don't want it to be content. I don't want people to get complacent. I want it to be shocking and dramatic. But like Coronation Street has always tried to be the run-of-the-mill daily life of people on a cobbled street. Like, it's not supposed to be fucking gangbusters. Boom! Bernie is dying. Boom! Bernie is dying twice. Boom! Bernie is alive still. Boom! Gemma's dying. It's like, one step at a time, lads. So, it's just the messaging that's coming out around the show in wake of a By the Numbers Christmas special where Gail finally got her happy ending. The man who was useless and a motivation that is null. It's just, I'm not getting good vibes. Don't know why I'm getting the vibe. It's a John, it's a Julian, it's a Juliet, it's a middle name with a J. You know, like fucking, I'm not exactly liking the direction that we're heading. Some characters who they believe are staples of the show simply are placed on a pedestal they don't really need to be in. Looking at you, Lauren. Looking at you, Gemma, Bernie, Chesney. I don't know why these characters are so fixated on. Cassie, I don't know why. I like some stuff. I like Alia's like rebrand of an image. Like the Platts, the Barlows, important families. The Websters, important families. Plus, ultimately, I don't really want expectations subverted because they tend to do that. And that was what they thought that the Joel stuff was. Like, oh, it's just really interesting to subvert expectations. It's Joel. Where is he? Whoa. But he seemed like a nice guy. It's like, all right. This is interesting. But like the damage they had to do to subvert the expectations was not worth the payoff. Nobody's going to be looking back fondly on Roy being in prison or any of that shit. So, you just... Yeah. It's a struggle. It's a struggle, and it's going to have to do a lot of grafting to get it out of the hole. But it's a hole that it's fucking buried itself in. But there are still some good, and there are some good angles, and I do look forward to seeing how the show will change under the new executive producer. As to be expected, expect some more storylines announced, expect some of Kate Brooks' original characters, and expect some shockwaves sent through the cast, as some characters will be axed. So, gonna be interesting to see how it transitions over under the new boss, but ultimately, it's still put in a pretty rough place, and it needs to do a lot to get out of this hole. So yes, that's the video. Coronation Street's in a bad place right now. What can we do to fix it? Just shore up the cracks and kind of hold firm and lay the foundations again. That's what I'd argue, because the foundation that the show's been based on over the last couple of years, it's gotten quite flimsy, and it's not as flexible as it once was. So, there we are. Thanks for watching the video. These are my shit-addled brain crinkled thoughts at 1 in the morning. Hope you enjoyed it. Catch me in the next one. See you then.